the last little bit. That's all done. This is almost done, and just a little bit there. Yeah, get to work.
Want to show what I'm doing outside?
Do I have a choice?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go investigate. Coming to see Mr. Muggs? Guess not.
Don't let him out here, though. No, don't let him out in time. It's all full.
Yeah, all full
So
of
yesterday
debris.
I was grinding, and today I'm hand
Chipping.
sanding and chipping the stuff that the grinder wouldn't get out. Lots of work.
Rusted.
So we have a little bit of a problem on one of them.
Rusted.
Don't pull it too much.
Anyways, I'll weld it back on. Nice and decorative.
Yeah. So this is how this works. Real complicated. You hand scrape all the paint off so you can get good adhesion for the new stuff.
I would have just left the old paint on.
Yeah, but it's peeling all over.
Yeah, it never ends. Unless you sandblast it, which I'm not bringing the sandblaster here.
No, this will last another.
Alright, I gotta get back to my grouting job.
Alright.
Rusted.
Wow. Look at all the silver surfaces.
Yep.
All done. 3
Beautiful.
coats of paint.
Beautiful. Careful, Mug. Can't go outside. It's a mess out there. You'll be all speckled. The last little bit of grouting. You're supposed to use a sponge like this, a hard rubber sponge. But I like doing it better with a putty knife. Scrape it in both directions to make sure it fills the gap fully. You let it dry for 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, depending on your exterior conditions. If it's raining, damp, hot, windy. Look at that, full tile landed right against the door sill. Tight to the door sill. Crazy, huh? Pure luck. And the room is square, that's even more amazing. Doesn't have to be perfect because when you run over it with the sponge works it into any spots that you missed. Now I'm wondering, should I fill the gap between the tub and the tile? Tubs move. And if I put caulking in there, the caulking is just going to fall into the gap. I should put a foam backer filler rod, which I don't have with me. I was at the pawn shop yesterday around the corner looking at stereo receivers. They have a late 70s, early 80s JVC Seagrave model JR something, JRS 401. What a monster. With an equalizer and big VU gauges. 150 bucks. Maybe I'll go back there and make him an offer. Who buys receivers anymore? Good old stereo receivers. Remember the old Marantz with the tuning that was on the side? The tuning wheel? I've got one of those, a small one though, a 2225 or 2230B. They're pretty popular. Finish up here a little bit more in that crack, and we're done. Wait for it to dry and wax on and wax off. Grout on, grout off. Almost none of this stuff left either, so perfect timing. Perfect timing. It's morning, YouTubers. I thought I'd show you how I put a toilet flange bolt set into place. They give you these little plastic rings so the bolt doesn't fall through the floor because someone made the hole too big. But, see, that hole should be just a tiny bit bigger than this piece of lead that you bend over. I didn't make the hole. Should be a couple of joists on either side. It should be boxed so the toilet sits real strong. Anyhow, what I do is I take a couple of nuts. I've showed you this before. Take a couple of nuts, a couple of washers, and I bolt the toilet bolt to the flange so it's rock solid, can't move, can't turn. And I take a pencil and I mark a line across the top to coincide with the slot on the bottom so that it's sitting 90 degrees to the slot in the flange so it can't pull out halfway, and they do. Somebody used a couple of closet bolts, the ones that go on the reservoir, cut one side off. Interesting. So put this in place, bolt it all down, put a big fat wax seal in with a plastic gizmo that some plumbers say you shouldn't use, but I disagree. The hole in the toilet is 2 inches, and the hole in the piece of plastic, sort of like a funnel, is bigger than that, so I can't see there being a problem. And you stick this thing in there, fight with it a little bit. Got it the wrong end of the hole. Duh. It's morning, YouTubers. Just went to the plumbing supply and they gave me this new gizmo that you lock a nut into this flange, you tighten the nut into the flange, then you bolt down into the nut as opposed to the stud sticking up. Selling like crazy. Somebody had a new idea for a toilet flange bolt. I bought some, but I didn't try it. I like this system because you can locate the toilet by the studs as opposed to guessing where the nuts are. So I'm looking at my line on the top. I've got a line across the top right there. I'm looking at my line to make sure it's going across so that my slotted bolt, which is centered, the slot doesn't always coincide with the center depending how they turn the ring. The slot may not end. I always end my slot real close so that as much strength as possible in this flange, this floor flange. Because sometimes they're not very thick. I'm going to move it towards the camera a little bit. Like that. Make sure my alignment, pencil mark. Because this is all that really holds the toilet to the floor is the flange, which should be screwed to some good plywood that's sitting right adjacent. There's my hammer. The plywood should be sitting adjacent to some new joists. Sometimes the joists are far away or cut. Sometimes, well, all the time. See, this flange should have been installed, this ring should have been installed so that the slot ended right there. So that these are in a proper 90-degree spot or equidistant from the wall. You can measure from the wall. Should be at least 12 inches, bare minimum. I put it at 12 and a half or 12 and 3/4 so I get a bit of space behind. Sometimes the reservoir sits a bit crooked, so those are dead center, kind of sort of. And now I'll put my wax ring on. I've got a smushed one. Got smushed. Bigfoot stepped on it. I don't know if it's usable. Let me see what I can do with this. I got another one. It's got 40% more wax. Monster size. With a sleeve. Funnel. As opposed to just a ring of wax. It's a monster ring of wax. Better to buy the thicker one for an extra 50 cents or only $1. $1.50, they're cheap. It's just a bunch of wax. Ear wax. So let's see if I can make this one work, not to throw it away, it's so cheap. Let's see in a bit. Yummy. Toilet's all installed, bolted down, new water line, time to crank her up. I should have installed a low consumption toilet, but I didn't. We got life. We got a crack. Time for a new toilet. Next time. Nice ceramic tile. I missed a couple of spots of grout in the corner. Barely noticed. Take your time, comes out nice. If you don't take your time, comes out crappy. Need that. Pull the trigger. Oh yeah, there's a water waster. 5 gallons, 6 gallons, 20 liters, 25 liters. And a crappy flush on top of that. No leaks. That's a good thing. Alright, on to the next project. Get to work. Let me see your kaboom.
Yeah.
Whoa, nice kaboomies. Let's spray them.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Watch this stuff. It blows up blue. It's like oven cleaner.
When it turns white, that's the time to scrub it off.
Yep. When your hair turns white, time to buy a camper and go cross country.